Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with Weekly Comic Book Roundup, and having covered this week's Marvel books, we're moving on to this week's DC books, as well as our monthly entry from Boom Studios. Kicking things off, we've got Batman Annual number 5. Now, to be fair, this is not the 5th Batman Annual. There have been plenty of other Batman Annuals, but yeah. I think this technically counts as the 5th since Rebirth. Probably. Something like that. Anywho, so the issue begins with Dr. Leslie Tompkins walking through Crime Alley, passing by the Monarch Theater, thinking on Crime Alley's past, and how every night she, thinking back upon the death of the Waynes, and how every night she walks through Crime Alley and walks through that particular alley, and she wishes without hope that she could save that poor lonely child that she found crouched on the ground next to his just shot parents. Anyway, one of the residents attempts to mug her. However, one of the other residents basically says, "Hey, do you know who this is? You don't mug Leslie Tompkins, okay? She runs the friggin' clinic, dude." He threatens the guy a little, which Leslie's not happy with. But he explains, "Hey, the anger management classes that you're giving are actually helping. I just make the threat now. I don't actually go through with it." Which Leslie understands is a step in the right direction. So she gets to her place, and as she arrives at the clinic, it appears she lives upstairs from the clinic. She looks up and sees Clown Hunter standing on a nearby rooftop holding his bat. She goes in to make some tea, and then hears a crash as a window breaks, and there's Clown Hunter in her apartment now, pulling shards of glass out of his arm. Because someone's an idiot that doesn't know it. Because someone couldn't just, knock on the friggin' door. But he explains that he apologizes for getting blood everywhere, and also says that Batman told him that he should go to her if he needed help. So she asks how she can help him, and he says that he wants the world to make sense. And so we get a flashback to 3 years previously. Apparently, Clown Hunter's parents ran a faux restaurant in the Narrows, Fam's Faux. It's not the busiest restaurant, so Bao doesn't really see the point in helping his parents run it. If there aren't any customers, why have me down there working when I can just be up here playing video games? Well, then they do get some customers. Harley Quinn, Bud and Lou, some sort of henchman, and of course, Mr. J himself. Apparently, Mr. J has never had pho, and Harley practically lived on it in school, so why not try it now? Especially after having just knocked over a few blocks of the Diamond District. Bao eyes a cleaver, and his father promptly, says, "Hey, we don't want to escalate things. Serve them." So, and then we'll serve them. Let go. That'll be that. So they do. Joker and Harley had their dinner, and apparently Harley wanted to try on some more of the goods from the Diamond District before they fence them, and Joker says, "Hey, that sounds great. Why not take the gang, get the car ready? I'll take care of the bill." And so, he, says, "Garçon, check, please." Bow's parents tell him, let them handle it. So his father says, Mr. Joker, the meal's on the house. We hope that you enjoyed it and you get home safely. To which the Joker simply says, oh, how kind. I'm going to have to leave you a nice big tip. He turns and says his tip is don't breathe. And he lets loose from his flower Joker venom, killing both of Bow's parents. As Joker leaves, he tosses a $100 bill at Bow and simply says that to take it from him, parents only get in the way. Afterwards, the police are there investigating. Gordon explains that there's someone inside the restaurant who'd like to talk to Bow. It's Batman, who apologizes and says he's going to try and do something about it, but he gives Bow one of his batarangs. We cut back to now, and Dr. Tompkins is helping with Bow's arm wound. And he says he doesn't get why she's helping him. I mean, he could be some creepy weirdo killer. And she actually says that she knows for a fact he is a creepy weirdo killer. That's exactly why she's helping him. She knows about the clown hunter of the Narrows. And then she asks why he came to her. And she knows that Batman gave him her card. It was months ago, but she wants to know why is it now that he's finally come to her. And he recounts the events of the last few issues of Batman, where he tracked down Harley Quinn. He was going to kill her, and she said some things, and so he didn't kill her. And he explains it doesn't make sense. He knows what she did. He knows she has done a lot of other really bad things, but he let her go, and now he doesn't think he knows who he is anymore. He doesn't know what to do. And so she asks how old he is. About 17. She says that she thinks he should do some ordinary 17-year-old boy things. Play some video games, go on a few dates, all of that. And Bao says he does play video games. He likes video games. It makes sense. You have a goal to accomplish, and you go and you do it, and sometimes you get a score for doing it well. But she explains that the world isn't like that, though. It doesn't tell you what to do. You don't get points or a score. You just have to live it. And she doesn't think that Bao's living his life right now. And he explains that there are things to be done in life. That's what he doesn't get. There's so much out there that obviously needs to get done, but no one's doing anything. If he doesn't do this, who is going to stop the clowns? All the people who took off their masks went back to their lives. And Leslie says, what do they need to be stopped? Maybe they had a change of heart. But he simply says people's hearts don't change that much. So then she asks if he thinks Harley's heart changed. Bao accuses her of saying what Batman wants her to say. How Batman just wants Bao to believe in him again. And we get, another flashback where he tried to believe in Batman. He tried so hard. Every time he heard there was a new Joker attack, he thought there'd be something, either Batman would kill Joker, or he'd find some way to lobotomize him or paralyze him. Just something to stop him from coming back year after year after year, hurting more and more people. He kept a little battering on his wall, and he would tell himself each time that it was going to be the end for real. Every time he thinks he believes it a little less. Then the Joker War happened. Cops would come to the Narrows on a good day. So the gangs, all jokered up, they were basically just using... They had turned the Narrows into their playground. Burning buildings to the ground, torching restaurants, laughing at stupid little laughs. Batman didn't show up for days. Now, I haven't read Joker War, so I presume there is actually a reason why it took Batman a while to show up. But one night, one of Bao's neighbors knocked on his door, and apparently one of the clowns lit one of Bao's neighbors on fire. He's trying to see if anyone can do anything to help. And I mean, she's like really badly burned. He goes outside, he finds a discarded clown mask, he breaks off the lower half of it, screams into the night, grabs the batarang, calls Batman a liar, throws it, and it bends itself into baseball bat. So he takes another clown mask, some spray paint, a leather jacket, a broom, a skateboard helmet, a hammer. And starts taking back his neighborhood. And the people in the Narrows, they cheered him on, and clowns stopped coming to his neighborhood. And so he now asks, though, if he's a bad guy. Is he just doing bad things? And it all feels like it makes sense. But if he's letting Harley go, then he's just another clown, and maybe he should be hunted too. And Dr. Tompkins explains that it's very powerful the whole world cheering you on, help you feel like what you're doing is just, but it doesn't make it just. But he goes on and he wants the world to have rules. And for people who don't follow the rules to be punished, and people who follow the rules, and he adds that people who follow rules shouldn't be punished. And I agree with that idea, yes, but that's sadly not how the world works. And she tells a very vague version of the story of Batman, or how Bruce Wayne became Batman. And she says, violence feels good for a moment, but it doesn't last as a solution. It only creates more violence. Eventually, Bao retorts that Batman uses violence, and she says, yeah, he does. And she thinks he could use his incredible mind in many, many other ways to make a greater difference in the world. So he asked why they're still friends, and she says that because there are no rules. There's just right now, and there's just right now, and there's tomorrow. She's been Batman's friend for a long time because she thinks she might be able to convince him to do the right thing tomorrow. So he asks, what is the right thing? No one's doing anything. The world just keeps getting worse. And so she changes the subject, explaining that she runs an anger management workshop at the clinic every Wednesday night, and she could use help from someone to make copies of the worksheet staged in each session. Help make a few people's lives a little better. She explains she does have work he needs to be doing, and that Bao should let his stitches heal. And whether or not he comes on Wednesday, she hopes she sees him again, and then they can have another conversation. And she asks if she could meet the man under the mask, and he takes off his helmet and explains that his name is Bao. They shake hands, and he leaves, not putting his helmet back on. So she pours herself a cup of tea. However, once again, she's not alone, and Batman shows up, and she explains to him that he's paying for the window, though he adds he's not as rich as he used to be, though he's still richer than she is. But he was listening into her talking to Clown Hunter, and he knows that she was talking about him at one point, and then She asks if he did any stitches or a cup of tea. He's been out fighting. She can tell he's been out fighting again, but he's already gone. And that is where the issue ends. We won't have a new regular Batman comic until March with Batman number 106. I'll be talking about why this is probably in a video later next week. Anyways, moving on to Dark Knight's Death Metal: The Secret Origin. The Secret Origin was actually supposed to have come out a few weeks ago. So basically, we begin on Earth Prime in 1984. Now, for those unaware of DC multiversal cosmology, Earth Prime is supposed to be the real world. The DC characters exist as comic book characters. And in Smallville, Kansas, there's a young boy who is adopted by the Kent family named Clark. And he's a huge fan of Superman. So basically, he's as kind of a nerdy kid, he gets set upon by the local bullies. And the daughter of the one who runs the drugstore kicks the bullies out. Clark and her spend a lot of time together. And on Halloween of 1985, they're celebrating in costumes. She's dressed up as Lori Lamaris, and he's dressed up as, Superman. And, there's a shooting star, however, and suddenly he begins to be able to fly. And he comes upon Superman. And he joins in the battle against the Anti-Monitor. And then find out later that while he was fighting the Anti-Monitor, his world was destroyed, including Lori. He tried really hard to accept it, but a chance came up to bring Lori and everyone back years later, and he had to try, and he lashed out, and he became a monster. He's since been recruited to the side of good. Connor Kent's not too happy about this. Connor and Prime have a lot of issues. The villains, they're also a little leery of him. But Crypto, of all people, Crypto isn't. Connor and Prime argue a little bit, and then the battle is joined. They duke it out, and then when Superman hits one of the Dark Supermen, however, he sees the world that Superman's from change. He wonders what he's just done. So he flies out and he finds the Darkest Knight's 52 Earths and decides he's going after the Darkest Knight himself. And so he dukes it out with the Darkest Knight. Who at this point is a cosmic level threat that's even more than what most original Superman can handle. The one who laughs taunts him, makes offers to him. Even saying, "Hey, I'll give you your own world," and and he gets to see how it would look. He became a hero again, but his friends wouldn't be there. Lori wouldn't be there. And he continues his assault on the one who laughs. And it seems like he manages to get rid of the other Earths. And some claim that whoever did it must be dead. And we get and Crypto stands over Prime's battered body, howling. And then licks him a little, barks, howls again, and suddenly young Clark is back home, back on Earth Prime, reading Death Metal, Dark Knight's Death Metal, The Secret Origin, seeing Prime's death when Laurie comes in. And it turns out now he has a dog. But while they're out taking the dog for a walk, the boy runs out on the street, and Clark rushes out to save the boy, and ends up lifting the car that would have smashed the kid into pieces. And that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to Dark Knight's Death Metal, the last of the two, War of the Multiverses. So, in Dark Knight's Death Metal number 6, Wonder Woman to the Forge of All Worlds, but she lost Luthor's journal with the blueprints to make the machine that was making everyone see the truth. But then she realized her lasso. And so she comes out covered in gold, goes after the Batman. The book opens with a flashback to Diana's childhood. Her and her mother honoring a fallen Amazonian warrior. And then in the present, Batwoman, giant-sized, covered in gold, trades taunts with the Batman who laughs. We get a few. Some of the Green Lanterns face off against the Steel Guardians that were seen in one of the other one-shots. Sinestro opines that turning the Guardians into drones is something he's kind of annoyed he never tried. The Teen Titans go after a bunch of the Groblins. And then a Dark Multiverse version of the Wally West comes in, basically explaining he's Wally's worst fear, that Wally enjoyed killing everyone in Heroes in Crisis. However, Roy Harper puts an arrow through that Wally's head. But more of the fight between the army of Superman and Superman, with Clark trying to reason with last son, who's a captive Superman, while the rest of the Superman family go after the other members, the superiors of the ancient House of El, Shepherd, Saint, and Savior. Enemies come to Superman's aid, and Supergirl leads a charge, basically saying we are all Superman. Then we get a story with Batman, and now keep in mind, Batman used his Black Lantern ring to resurrect the Batman who laughs. Well, they basically have, some arguments back and forth. Basically, kind of, the one who laughs guessed he would do this, and so treated it with some magic, and then counter prep. They duke it out, and Batman basically tells him, you need to be remembered. And so, if you don't fight here right today, I will do everything I can to forget you. And so, both Batman and Black Lantern, who laugh. We then get a tale with Ryan Choi facing off against his Dark Multiverse counterpart Ra, while Will Magnus, Mr. Terrific, and him try to use the Metal Men against the Dark Multiverse. An energy blast that Choi takes from Ra. Excuse me. Allows me something he's never done before. And he grows to a giant size and stomps on Ra. Not killing him, but, he's not like, but he's not like 60 feet tall, but, I'd say he's a good 20 feet tall when he does it, so, yeah. Then returns to normal size, and they figure, okay, yeah, let's do this with the Metal Men. Elsewhere in the hellscape, Lois goes looking for... There's another Earth, an Earth where Lois Lane led the charge against superheroes. And by led the charge, I mean she interviewed Superman, and in the midst of the interview, hit him with some amber kryptonite, taking his powers into himself, and then cut off his head, as it's explained later on. But the two Loises, basically, this version of Lois tries to explain why it is that she's right, and but in the end, yeah, Lois is like, I mean, I guess she's a dark reflection of me, but she's not me. We get the Teen Titans meeting up with some darker versions of themselves, led by a dark version of Raven. They, of course, triumph over these Dark Titans. The Penguin dealing with dark multiversal versions of himself and defeating them, but turning into a giant bird as he does so. A rather tongue-in-cheek tale where Constantine meets one of his dark multiversal doppelgangers who basically never got over the speed metal. And John, they go for a drink before the Dark Multiverse version kills him. But Dark Multiverse says, you're actually you're not half bad. Oh, okay, you're not half good. I'll talk to the one who laughs when all this is over. We'll figure something out with you. But it turns out that John poisoned the ice that the Dark Multiverse Constantine has in his drink. And so he dies, and John eventually returns to the fray. We then get a story: Swamp Thing, Frankenstein, Clayface, Solomon Grundy, Anton Arcane, and Abby Arcane going up against the Swamp King. The Swamp King is a dark multiverse version of the Swamp Thing. The idea being that while a Swamp Thing is an elemental combined with the soul of Alec Holland, the Swamp King simply thinks he is Alec Holland, does not have his soul. And we see what all he did. He subsumed the red. He subsumed the green, the rot, all of it. But eventually, Swamp Thing basically faces off with the Swamp King, and basically absorbs him into himself, and yeah. We get back to Diana and the one who laughs. And she remembers more of dealing what she learned, more of what she learned about battle that day with talking to the fallen warrior, and it strengthens her resolve against the one who laughs. And she tells him that the only sound the multiverse is going to hear soon is the sound of her kicking the ass of the one who laughs, and that is where the issue ends. Now we stay in the Dark Multiverse, but this time instead of dealing with death metal, we're simply dealing with Tales from Dark Multiverse, Dark Knight's Metal. Now I actually have not read Dark Knight's Metal. I'm hoping to get it soon, either for Christmas or shortly after Christmas. But yeah, I've been meaning to get it for a while and actually do a quick retro review on it, but with seeing as how the conclusion of Death Metal comes out in 2 weeks, I don't think we're getting none of it. We might still, but we'll see. We'll see. So, the three tribes are explained. The tribe of the wolf, represented by Wonder Woman. The tribe of the bear, represented by Superman. The tribe of the bird, represented by Green Lantern. Then came the fourth tribe, the tribe of the bat. And in the Dark Multiverse, however, while fighting the Bat God Barbados, the Justice League, clad in armor forged from Element X, triumphed in the Light Multiverse. In the Dark Multiverse, however, the armor is corrupted, and just as the tribe of the Bat was before it, the world burns in dragon fire. Barbados reaches from beyond his grasp to the tragedies of man Bruce Wayne, drags all of existence into chaos, into the dark beyond the dark. And so the last Monitor rushes through the multiverse. The fall of New Crime City on Earth 3, the fall of Earth 5, Neo Gotham's fall on Earth 12, fall of Monument Valley on Earth 10, spaceships destroying or exploding in deep space on Earth 37, the capital of the Tiger Empire on Earth 51, and finally, the last Monitor comes to the end, Earth Zero, his home, and reveals himself to be none other than Duke Thomas. Barbados finds Duke, and he and his dragons set upon him. We have Barbados dragged to the end, final form of Bruce Wayne, the Hydra Diana, Queen of Snakes and Stone, Cryptothrax, the true Doomsday, Tyrant Worm, Devourer of Atlantis, and finally the Death Construct, Beware His Power, Hal Jordan's Blight. But Cryptothrax fights him a bit, almost eats him even, and then someone else shows up, whips out a guitar, and the power cord manages to send Barbados and his allies' fleet running. Of course, the new arrival is revealed to be none other than Dick Grayson, Nightwing. Duke follows him back to the Hall of Justice, or to where the Justice League are hiding out, the Watchtower, or what's left of the Watchtower at least. Hawk Girl, whatever Hawkman's turning into. Detective Chimp wearing the remains of Red Tornado as an armor. The skeleton of the still living skeleton of the flat of Barry Allen. But yeah, so they decide that. Anyways, Duke says, we should try and stop them. Elsewhere, the Batman Who Laughs has been gifted a Joker Dragon, and he's not impressed. And he's explaining he's the Batman Who Laughs, and Joker Dragon can barely get a chuckle out of him. So the League show up. And the Joker Dragon is freed and kills the one who laughs with dragon fire. So they go after Barbados and his dragons. Flash is able to is able to save Hal from within the death construct. The Hawks take down Worm. Detective Jim and Red trying to take down Hydra Diana. Nightwing uses a kryptonite pick to take down Cryptothrax. As he dies, Superman says, "Thanks, Dick." Then Duke Thomas has to face off against Barbados alone. Eventually making it into Barbados. Where he pulls Bruce Wayne out and stabs Bruce, killing him. Thus killing Barbados as well. But Duke takes everything that's left over, makes himself a suit of armor, and goes into the dark where he finds Nimbus Huguenot. At the end of the multiverse. And Duke's not too pleased with that. Huguenot all Huguenot did was just watch as the Dark Multiverse died. And it's implied that Duke, now calling himself the Final Knight, killed Tempest Huguenot. And that is where the issue ends. And now to our final book of the week, Something is Killing the Children, number 13. Where we left off, the House of Slaughter had invaded the small town where it was beset upon by the creatures. But it was very much a question of... It was starting to become a question of who was worse, the creatures or the House of Slaughter. The issue begins with some members of the House of Slaughter killing some of the creatures. Let's explain that full containment is what's necessary. They can be as bloody as they want to be. Meanwhile, Erica is dealing with Cecilia, who's just slit the throat of one of the deputies. Cecilia's not happy with Erica's actions. Before the deputy dies, however, from blood loss, he does manage to get a few shots off, killing at least two members of the House of Slaughter. But he is then, once Cecilia stabs him through the skull, killing him. Erica escapes with Beyond and James, and they need a place to plan. They're in a ravine, and all the ravines are connected, so they could, for example, find James's home. House of Slaughter is trying to convince the locals to let them in, but yeah, they kind of the sheriff kind of trusts Erica, but he's pretty sure that they don't. It's a good idea to not fully trust the rest of her group. And then they cut the power to the gym and ran their car in, basically trying to get everyone gathered in the center of the gym. That's why that's what to do if they want to get through it alive. At James's house, Erica's planning, gets her little familiar out and tells them to show the kids its true face, and then says, "Let's begin." And that is where the issue ends. And that's it for this week's roundup. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long, rock hard, and Merry Christmas, everyone.